Is that supposed to be up here? Did she move it over there? I don't think that's right. When she had it up here. I feel like it's supposed to be up here. Yeah, but why isn't it up here? The nose. Because that's it can wait. Um, Pearson. And hello to all our Southshore neighbors. You are listening to Real Estate Roundtable. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I'm joined live and in studio here at Boston Connect Real Estate with the one and only Kristen Howlett. Hello. How about my Southshore neighbors? Hello, my Southshore neighbors. And my co-host today. No, I got it figured out. Yes. I don't know. We have a new camera, so you're joining us through. We're also trying out the whole YouTube live thing. So if you follow us on YouTube, so go to Boston Connect Real Estate on YouTube. Or I think you can look up Top Real Estate Roundtable as well. This is kind of fun. Yeah, I know. We have a new camera. Like it'll go to you as soon as you start talking. It's like sort of has its own light of its own. So we are live on YouTube, and I've moved it over to Facebook as well. So if you follow us on Facebook, Boston Connect Real Estate, nothing more Horton Group, or you're part of any of the Connect pages here on the South Shore, you'll be able to see us when we're moving. I'm going to share Facebook too. Yeah, do it. Great. I'm just going to, real time here. I'm about to give you a minute to introduce yourself. Okay. I know you have joined me several times, so you're pretty much my co-host on Tuesdays. I'm like forever film. I know, but you haven't been here for a week. Maybe also producing. But so if somebody has not heard your show, and you need to introduce yourself, so my name is Kristen Howlett, and I'm a full-time realtor at Boston Connect Real Estate here at 19 Marquise Street in February. I specialize in helping wonderful people sell their homes, purchase their homes, just live out their real estate dreams. We have fun. We have fun every day. Yeah, we do. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun today. My tagline on Instagram is turning personal. Yeah, well, I came up with the tagline when we got this window was open to call. Did you think about this? I might have. I don't know. I come up with a lot of things and I just give it away to people. I'm just like, here you go. Probably did. Here's something. Yeah, if you could tag me, that would be great. But yeah, so Sharon and I have been doing the past couple Saturday shows together about the whole Miller settlement and buyer's agency and everything. So I'm going to keep it a little bit lighter today. We are going to continue the discussion. So Sharon and I will be back Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Bright and early. We're taking the day off for you guys, but we're going to be back on Saturday with part 3 of the Miller settlement. So we thought that today we would talk about the role of a buyer's agent. So don't forget, but for now, forget about the Miller settlement. Table it for now. Because it is super important that we discuss it, because there's a lot of mistruths, yes, that are out there, and it's important for us as one of the trusted real estate brokerages in southeastern Massachusetts. Yeah, be transparent. Really transparent. And if you have a question about it, you can call us. There's always somebody at the office that can discuss it, and you guys talking about it on the radio show on Saturdays is huge. Yeah, Yeah, it is huge. I mean, it's important. There are going to be changes that are happening. There's changes already happening in our industry, and we want to make sure that we're ahead of it and we're doing everything that we're supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, it's all about getting our clients either homes or homes soon. So, but tonight we definitely want to talk about buyer's agency and what it means to be a buyer's agent. And you do work with a lot of buyers. So I sort of just want to jump right into it. If you do want to call, I think we have Larry at the studio tonight, WATD 781-837-4900 is the number at WATD. You can also text that number. Again, 781-837-4900 if you have any questions, and we're going to be following along on Facebook and YouTube as well. So, but okay, I want to get sort of down to the what is a buyer's agent? Why would you need a buyer's agent? So sort of just getting into like exploring the buyer's agent role. What would you say a buyer's agent is? Because you have been one, you are one.
I think a buyer's agent is an integral part of the whole real estate transaction. We talked about it in our roundtable today. The importance of it. First of all, it's very important for buyers to have representation.
Yeah.
And have somebody who's going to guide them through the process and help them with, I think shows like Selling Sunset and, buying and what is it, buying Ellen? Buying Beverly Hills. I think that they do a really good way of portraying like the glamorous side of real estate and kind of like make, not negate our job, but kind of make it a little bit more, luxurious and easy than it really is. When sometimes buyer's agents, it's getting in the car, it's showing external houses, it's writing offers, it's disappointment. Sometimes when, especially in this market, buyers don't get their offers accepted.
Yeah. Sometimes you're a therapist.
Total therapist. Yeah, absolutely. And but really it's the professional who is going to help you make sure that what you're purchasing is a good investment, without sounding alarms, how to navigate writing an offer, what that means, what are things that you're going to be liable for. We talked about it today that a good buyer's agent works hand in hand with the listing agent.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this, I'm going to use a word, I'm not sure if it's the right word to use, like there's a misnomer that we're against each other, that the listing agent and the buyer's agent are,
and not to cut you off, but that was sort of my point with, so we had a discussion here every Tuesday at Boston Connect Real Estate. We have an open discussion or, a roundtable or something. We start in the morning, and our discussions the past couple of weeks are about this and the roles of a buyer's agent and the importance of having, an agency disclosure and all these things, which we'll get into as well. But, it's been going into the afternoon because this is so important. And yes, it is ever changing, and we are going to be seeing some changes in our industry. But my point sort of was, we as agents need to educate our clients, and that is the most important part about this. It's not just educating them on the importance of using an agent to sell their house, but also using an agent to purchase their house. Because if you can understand the rules and how they help you through the process, then you can see their value. It's not just picking up the phone and talking to somebody or talking to them face to face. It's seeing their use throughout the whole process. Why is it important to use a buyer's agent at certain points during the process?
You're asking me. Yes.
No, I just stated. That's not a statement. Just educating your clients. That was my point today about, as long as you're just open about what each role is. Yes, they might be a buyer's agent and they're representing the buyer, but that doesn't mean that they're against you. 100%. They want to work with your agent, with your seller's agent, to get the deal done.
And I will say that I do think that we keep throwing on the word like transparency and things need to be. Sometimes there is this like, this I don't know what is the right word I'm trying to use. Like this, cover on real estate that like everything has to be secret. And one of the biggest questions that we get all the time, something goes on market, they get an accepted offer, and everybody says, what did they sell?
Yeah,
we can't talk about that. Yeah, we won't know until it closes.
Yeah.
There's this shroud of mystery about real estate, but like, it's those thing where in this super competitive seller's market, what I say are things like, we may not be the highest offer.
Yeah.
But and I always make it a point to call the listing agent. I say, we might not be the highest offer, but I'm going to tell you, if my buyers love that house, I say, we will see this through. We are not going to go on market. They love the house. They've looked at it. They don't see anything that's going to cause them to run away.
Yeah.
And if that's important to your seller, we are going to put our offer in and we are going to get to the closing table.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, things are always going to come up. They always will. Things will come up, but it's how we handle it. Two true professionals, how we handle the situation and make the seller feel like they're represented, have the buyer feel like they're represented. And
well, it's all about showing your value. And I feel like that could be said for a lot of different industries. It's just there is this sort of stigma when it comes to real estate agents, which we don't understand, obviously, because we're in it every day. But there is. I don't know how many times somebody has come to me or like, why wouldn't I just sell it myself? Like, why wouldn't I just sell it? Why do I need an agent? Honestly, guys, we have a list right here in front of us. 90 reasons to use a buyer's agent.
and we really have to start by saying, you can sell your house.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can sell your
need
house.
a buyer's agent. A seller's agent. You can very easily, there are websites, there are people do for sale by owner. The thing is, there's a good chance that you will be leaving a lot of money on the table. Yeah. You will be putting yourself at risk to not have a very timely transaction. And you will be at risk for exposing yourself for things that, liability and things that come up where we protect our clients.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you personally, I would want somebody to represent me for the most important purchase of my life. And I just made the most important purchase of my life and I had to represent myself. And when you just said about, we may not be the highest offer, it just brought me back to my house. It was not the highest offer. And everyone knows Sharon was the listing agent on the house that I purchased. She received 24 offers. It was not the highest because to that seller, money wasn't the most important thing. It was all the terms that went with it. It was a home that she built with her husband and raised her kids in, and it was like she wanted it to go to somebody with other terms other than just money. And that's ultimately it came down to me. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different factors, but I was encouraged to put an offer in my house by several agents in our office. And I didn't want to because I didn't think that I would get it. I was like, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to be the highest. And just do it. Just do it. If you like the house, if you love the house, just do it. And if I had not taken that advice, I'm pretty confident that I probably wouldn't have gotten the house by now. Yeah.
I think you would be renting.
I think I would be renting as well. Yeah. But, I sort of have an advantage where I'm constantly surrounded by real estate agents. I mean, they have intertwined into my personal life, and of course, I love that. But I take the advice of the people around me.
And sometimes that had to be frustrating because I know that we all have different opinions, and we all think we're right. So we were all forcing our thoughts on you, but in the end, I'm glad you put the offer in.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I want to get back to sort of the role of a buyer's agent. So walk me through when you meet with a client for the first time. How does that work? Do you bring them into the office? Do you just have a phone call with them? You meet them in person? How is it that you sort of set the tone for how your relationship is going to be with the buyers?
So me, myself, I am strictly referral based. I don't pay for leads. I am usually somebody either goes on my website or is referred to me from a lender partner, trusted lender partner, or it's a referral from a past client. Somebody who says, you have to work with Kristen. So typically the phone call it's an email or, I have some questions for you. Like I just had one last week.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, last week.
Last Thursday. Yeah, right. That we started corresponding through email, and then I always have somebody come in the office, and then we sit down and we kind of talk about everything, and we go over, the forms that need to be presented, and I have a really good buyer's presentation, at least I thought I did. I don't know if I do good. But we talk about every single thing that could happen. But this all came about really during COVID. And everything was so fast paced and so quick. And I'm very thoughtful. I have to do A before I can do B and C. That's just the way my brain works. Yeah. And so for me, it was like I need to have these conversations with people so that when and if they do find a house that they love, and it does go quick, I'm not throwing everything at them in that first, oh, let's do this, let's do that. It's okay. We're going to start with the offer. This is what the offer is going to look like. These are the dates that are important. You're going to need your checkbook. You may have to write a check. You may have to go over all. Didn't really know anything about the property. And then you meet with them, and you realize that I just had a listing open house a couple of weeks ago, and then the next Sunday we had a private showing, and that's exactly what happened. This person had reached out on one of those websites that begin with an I or a Z, and they met the person in the driveway. They'd never met before, and it was awkward. It was awkward because I was showing the house, and there was a buyer's agent. They didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
They probably didn't know if they were pre-approved yet.
I know. Well, okay, so I want to move over to sort of the list that we have. So 90 plus as a buyer's agent. A lot of the time, some of these at the beginning are to introduce you to a loan officer. So to get you started, to see where your journey is going to
So
start.
their buying really is the right step for you. I had a girl that I was working with for probably about 3 months. And honestly, at the end of the day, she was like, I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not built for this right now. I'm not built for this market. It's a little bit too competitive for me. I'm okay renting for a year. She's very young. I'm gonna rent for a year and I'm gonna regroup after when they fill up. Perfect.
Yeah.
And we're gonna keep in touch and that's gonna be fine. Sometimes that is the right answer. And sometimes it's coming in here. She came in with her dog. She loved that we were pet friendly and that she could come in with her dog and just answer questions. And sometimes it's just meeting you where you're at, and maybe it's a 3-year plan, maybe it's a 2-week plan.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it is a 2-week plan. So, I think the introduction in the beginning is very important. With the younger, it's creating that connection with them that gains trust. So, hey, I do have a couple of lenders that I work with, and you sort of know, like, of course you want to give them some options, but you sort of know like who's the really great fit for her. But just finding and it also would depend on what the affordability is. So, some loan officers can offer more packages or different packages than others. So just sort of they'll be able to find out that financial aspect of it. So I feel like you come in the very, very beginning, you make the introduction, and they come back to you, hey, this is my budget. Okay, great, let's work with this. And sort of, I feel like those are the very beginning steps, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Should we go through some of these tests? So we went through the schedule time to meet with buyers, prepare buyer's guide and presentation, meet buyers and discuss their goals, explain buyer and seller agency relationships. Yeah. I mean, we can touch upon that. A buyer's agent, if you get into a contract with an agent, they can represent you as a buyer. So they can represent you with the buyer's agency agreement. Should we talk about that now as part of this new way of doing things with selling? That it's going to be required that you sign a contract with a buyer's agent. Yes, going to be one of the things that they're going to ask you to do. Yeah. Up until this point, I know a lot of us in this office, we haven't, and our thought was, well, I don't want to hold somebody to, a contract. If what if it works out that you don't really want to work for that? I don't want to force somebody into a relationship with me. But I guess the thing is now is that you know what? So let's take our time and let's see if we're going. And I do carefully say that if we decide to work together, because it is unilateral. It has to be. I mean, I like working and I like getting paid and I like what I do, but sometimes it may just not be a good fit. I'm not for everybody. Yeah. I'm not for everybody. I'm not for everybody. I mean, no one's for everybody. Nobody is for everybody. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's really important when you have the initial meeting with your clients and they're asking for representation, just having that open communication with them and saying, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to bring to the table. This is how I'm going to communicate. This is my style. If the relationship lasts 6 months, if it will last a year and a half, hopefully you're not looking for a year and a half for a home, but it happened. The relationship could last as long as we both wanted to. I would say, if somebody is out there and they are thinking about interviewing a buyer's agent, ask them what the relationship is going to look like. Yeah. How are you going to communicate? What are those things? And you know what? If you know that from the get-go, that kind of makes everything. I'm a huge communicator. I will say that at least once a day, if I don't get a response from something that I'm looking for, and I know that there's probably a lot of people out there on Facebook who are laughing because sometimes I well, Sharon laughing because she just texted me. She goes, "I'm not for everybody." It was like a crying face.
Well, sometimes people know I'm the worst with texting back sometimes, but not with my comments. My clients. So I do that.
So it should be a privilege for me to get a text back from you.
Well, sometimes if it rolls out, I sometimes forget about it.
Yeah, I get caught up.
But I tell my clients first thing in the morning. I don't care for my clients. I have no boundaries in the morning. They can text me at 6
I know you said that the other day. I was like, you have no boundaries in the morning.
Oh my gosh, I'm much better in the morning.
I can't, if somebody calls me in the morning, I cannot focus on getting ready. I will be late. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'm kind of in my routine.
Yeah.
I'm downstairs and so communication, I think that's a big thing because you can't, this is 45 to 60 days of constant communication.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's also setting the expectation of what is going to be required from the buyer as well. It's not just everything that the buyer's agent is going to do. It's, the earnest money deposits. What is that? You have to explain it to them. But it's sort of, I can just say for myself, somebody can explain something to me, but it doesn't really click in my head until I actually have to do it myself. So, some people don't know how to make sense. And we know that.
So the first question I ask them when I sit down with them, do you have a checkbook?
Because do you have a checking account?
A lot of your generation does not have a checkbook.
They don't know how to write a check, so I do know.
But they've never needed a checkbook. So guess what?
That's something. Well, but I'm sure during the presentation and during the process of buying a house, you explain to the buyer you are going to need to write a check for your offer. You can write a check, you can write a big check. You're going to have an earnest money deposit for an offer. You're going to have an earnest money deposit for purchasing sales. To purchasing sales. You do that. And you're also connecting with them already have an attorney. You're connecting them with an attorney as well. So also a buyer's agent is like a source of knowledge. So it's having all those people in your back pocket to be like, hey, I know a really reputable, you know, whether it's a loan officer or if it's an attorney or a home inspector or whatever, I have all these reputable people in my back pocket ready to go for you, ready to work for you. A home inspector. So I do a lot with first-time home buyers. With one of my trusted lenders is Kristen and we do a ton with first-time home buyers, and we work really well together with, you know, kind of taking them under our wing and like, you know, guiding them. And you know, the whole thing with home inspectors, as I say, you want to make sure that it's a good investment. But even more important is a good home inspector will go through. It's like a how to manage house. They'll teach you where the water shut off is. They're going to teach you things about like redirect the water and, you know, be aware of this. And it's kind of like you got to pay attention. It's not just home inspections. I think have come a long way where it's not like, oh, let's find everything. Let's find every single thing that's wrong with the house and ask for $20,000 off. Like it's more from personal experience. It's more like an educational thing because there are a lot of first-time home buyers who might have never lived in a house before. Only rented. You know, so Mark Humera showed me where the shut off in my house is. You know, I did not have a home inspection for my purchase. Although my first house that I did have under agreement, I did do a home inspection on, and it was like pretty much just like an informational thing. Like I just wanted to know how to own a house, pretty much like where everything was. That's what I mean. And what I would be responsible for living in that area. And you know what? I don't want to say this, but after my home inspection, I realized other things that maybe I just wasn't ready for at that point. And that's sort of why I walked away, because of the financial part that I wasn't prepared for that particular home. As a single woman at the time, I didn't think that I could take it on. But now I love my house. Now I have more confidence coming to my house and shutting off the spigots outside and you know, telling me where the water shut off is in my house and going in the attic. Even more important than that too is like a good home inspector will come out and even point out all the good things about the house. Like I love that. I love when they're like, oh, this, you know, this was top notch. This they didn't, you know, they didn't cheap out on this. This is a good thing. These are a good thing. That's what a buyer wants to hear. That, you know, these are all positives about it. And sometimes there might be things that we just can't overcome. But guess what? That's what the buyer's agent and the listing agent, we take that onus off you because it can be awkward. It can be awkward. Who wants to say to somebody, when was the last time you? Well, I did have to tell an agent, you know, I love the fact that your client, you know, built the deck himself. However, you know, when he built it 15 years ago, not up to code, and didn't maintain it over time, it doesn't change the fact that the condition is not good. That it's completely rotted and no one else is rotted. So, but it's awkward, and sometimes people, you know, that it's not a conversation that, you know, buyers really should be having. It's, you know, it can end up like, I'm not buying this, like, type of thing. And sellers, listen, they're so proud. Most sellers are very proud of their company, proud of the things that they've done to it, and, you know, really are worried about the reflection of them in their house. And when I have to draft that email about things that, you know, we're going to try to negotiate, I'm so thoughtful about it. I don't ever want to offend the seller. I don't know if I'm a listing agent. You know, I've learned that I am merely a transfer of information. My job is to transfer the information. Sometimes I do, because I'm a empathetic person, I take on all the stress and all the stuff.
But I really try to, at the end of the day, it's not me.
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes if I have to say something that's a little awkward, I'll say, I'm just delivering it.
Yeah.
I'm just delivering it. I know we can walk through it, but I'm just delivering it.
Well, you do take it on and take on the emotional part of it because it's sort of your role, and I don't mean to be so blunt about it, but like it is your role to represent your buyer. So it's a stressful process enough. So if you can alleviate any of that stress for your buyer, then you're absolutely going to do that, and that's what your role is. Oh, well, I know we've gone through about 90. Right, let's take some random ones. So, like, we went through the earnest money deposits, explaining the home inspection process and sort of, obviously introducing a home inspector if you choose to put in a home inspection in your offer. But, that's kind of related because that's already like sort of like assuming that you have an accepted offer. So you have to do a lot of work before putting an accepted offer. So it's actually showing properties to somebody and you pretty much do your homework before you go to a house. So you're educating yourself, maybe calling a listing agent, asking some questions that you know that your clients are going to want to know about that house. And maybe it's not on MLS, it's not on Zillow. And everybody knows because they listen to our show that, Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and all that stuff, they pull from MLS. So they're third party sites that pull from MLS, where we put in all the information into MLS. So if it's not on the third party sites, that means it's really not necessarily on MLS as well. There are questions that people have about properties that aren't anywhere online. So you do pick up the phone, you do ask those questions because after a certain amount of showings, you do know what is important to your client. So especially for somebody who's never been through the buying process before, you might not already know that like you don't like the white cabinets, you like, this type of thing. You don't like a race fence. You like a film level fence. You like a cape. You like those are things that you learn over time seeing lots of homes. We had that discussion in our first meeting too. Yeah. What's your dream house? Yeah. We might not find it, but we can sometimes, change what that dream house looks like. But like if you tell me that you don't love a colonial and you only love a raised ranch, I'm not gonna push the colonials. I'm going to push what I think is, going to be a good fit for you. Yeah, but I will say this. I'm going to tell a quick little story. Okay. So, about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, I got a call from my favorite lender, Christine. And she had buyers that she had pre-approved, I think maybe like a year before that. They kind of tabled their search because it was so crazy. And they were out looking again, and they found a house that they really liked, and they did not have an agent. So Christine referred me to them. We got on a quick call. We talked a little bit. I helped them with writing up an offer. It did not get accepted, but we decided that we were good for one another. Yeah. So flash forward, they found a house that they loved. It checked all their boxes. When we first, so it went on like a Monday, and we couldn't get to see it until Saturday. So it was like, I do not like that. I just say that it was torture. I do not like that. Looking, but so the first thing I do is I go on Google Maps and I look at it. Yeah. And I said to them, the other thing I always do is I look at old listings to try to look at some things and, maybe kind of get them excited, but it's a way of us doing it. Yeah. Look at an old listing, see what has been done, see if they've done any upgrades, updates that have been done. It's a way to find out things that haven't been done too. But anyways, so this had there was a train track that literally runs through the backyard. I said, "Oh, did you guys see this?" And they said, "Yeah, but you know what? The old listing that you had sent us, they had there was a disclosure on there that said that it's a freight train and it only runs twice a day, but it's at low speed. So twice a day, and actually the people that live in the house now, they have a little one, and they love that they like at 12 noon, they like those people coming in. Yeah. And then it goes through in the middle of the night, so they can live with them. Yeah. Anyways, the house was listed for X amount. They loved it. They loved everything about it. And so they were saying that they were kind of listening to the people that wanted the open house. And they knew that they had to be
let's just say $60,000 over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, oh geez. And I started pulling comps, and I ended up finding one.
Oh, geez, because you didn't think that the value was there?
I thought we're going to be in trouble if it doesn't appraise. I don't want them to have to shell out $60,000 out of their pocket if it doesn't appraise.
Well, I was just going to say, I assume that you had that conversation with them. What happens if a property doesn't appraise? Are you going to continue afford to pay out of pocket? Are you going to expect the sign to come down in price? Like,
and there's a good chance that these savvy listing agents are going to come back to us and say, listen, I listed it at $4. You're telling me it's worth $10. Oh, what are we going to do if they say it's only valued at $8? Yeah. So that was a conversation that we had. In the meantime, I found this great comp that I was like, I think this is a really good comp. It was $5,000 less than the offer that they put in. Anyways, long story short, we talked about it 15 ways to sideways, and I will be the first person to say, I totally overthink things. Yeah. But I want you to have enough ammunition that the decision is yours. I'm not going to manipulate your decision, but I want to give you all the information that you can make a good decision and say, I feel good about it. Yeah. So we put the offer in. It did come back. The listing agent did come back and said, we need some wording with some sort of an appraisal down. What are you thinking? I said, are you worried about the appraisal? She said, well, kind of. I could only find comps for this. I said, well, I found this one. And she said, I haven't seen it. Yeah. So I sent that to her, which was a game changer. Well, if she had seen it, perhaps she would have gone on like a higher. She definitely would have. But you know what? Let's go back to the value of a buyer's agent. Me doing a little bit of homework on a Saturday afternoon as I'm sitting on the couch with my husband and pulling up comps and being super thoughtful about putting this offer in. Well, that's where we found it. Flash forward, we had the appraisal done. It appraised for $1 million. And what they offered. And guess what? We're going to pull it. Everything is great. It all worked out. Everything is great. It all worked out. So what I do know, I'm not going to try to toot my own horn, but I do think that those same buyers, without a buyer's agent, wouldn't have known about an appraisal value, wouldn't have seen the value with that other car, wouldn't have been able to navigate it. Maybe they would have got, I just feel like it can get a little murky and it can get a little dirty. And somebody on the other end maybe would feel like, maybe this isn't a good decision.
Well, you just sort of nailed it. Where like you did a little bit of research, when really I know that you did a lot of research because you do overthink things, but for the benefit of your clients, you do, and that might be small to you, but it's huge to them because you found that home was at the value and ended up being higher that they were willing to offer, and they were willing, let's say 60,000, whatever you said earlier, hypothetically, over what the asking price is. So it's not just having somebody write up an offer. It's also sort of educating your client on, hey, this is the value of the house. Anything over this would be emotional value. So if you're willing to put in more emotional value, my suggestion would be to have sort of a cushion, because if it does not appraise, the difference is your emotional value in this home. What ended up happening is we amended our offer to say that they were willing to bring up to $10,000 to closing to make up for any shortfall of the appraisal. Not to exceed the purchase price. So their thought was, and that exactly was my thought. I have a feeling we're going to be fine at X dollars. But again, as it turned out, the house was in great shape. The house was, it's a great house. And you know what? The appraisal, the value was there. It really was. The value was there. And at the end of the day, they feel good about the purchase that they're making. The sellers feel great about selling the house because, of course, they're getting more money than they thought. They've also got, I love the co-broker, somebody that I could totally be friends with. She's awesome. She's great. We're both like-minded. We're just trying to navigate our people to the closing table. That's it. So, it's just, maybe I'm biased, and I know we only have about 5 minutes left. Maybe I'm biased, but honestly, like, the role of a buyer's agent is so important. And I would never personally want to be, oh, we do. Is it Michelle? Okay, we have Michelle Fay, who is a full-time realtor here at Boston Connect Real Estate on the line. She has a new listing coming on. Hi, Michelle. How are you? Yes, it has been a crazy day. And I will let you know that we did not stop talking about our discussion this morning after you left. We talked about it until 4:30 this afternoon. Yeah. It's been important. So that's why Kristen and I are doing a sort of a lighter show for everybody on buyer agency and why using a buyer agent is important. But I know you have a listing coming on, so if you are a buyer's agent out there, you're a buyer with using a buyer's agent, we have a new home for you to purchase. So Michelle, why don't you give a sneak peek of what's coming on the market tomorrow? Oh, it's in the same complex that you sold recently? Oh, perfect. Wow. Oh, look at you. Can you give the address one more time and when you're doing the open houses? Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. Michelle, how can everybody get in touch with you? That's perfect. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Good luck. Have a good night. Michelle. If you didn't catch that, we'll have that posted on BostonConnect.com tomorrow as soon as it goes live, and we'll be promoting it on social media as well. But I did visit Michelle at her last listing that she had in there. What a great complex. Yeah, super cute. I'll have to swing by that this weekend too, because I try to go to as many different places as I can. All right, we only have about 3 minutes, so let's come up with a couple. Okay, a couple things, and then I want to give you a minute to give your contact information out as well. So I think just preparing, it's all about preparation. So making sure that as a buyer's agent, you're educating your buyer. You have all the answers, like you're getting the answers before they're asking the question, and that is super important. That's why we don't like the black and white. Actually, using right this second. We're going to the street. Oh, yes, that's a great person. That could be, yeah. When it comes to condos, discussing homeowners association, going into sort of the financials with that. So if there is an HOA fee, how does that affect their affordability when it comes to a mortgage? Because it does. And even when you're writing up an offer for a condo, making sure that you have, you're crossing your T's, you're dotting your I's, and making sure that they're able to look at through the condo docs, the master deed, all of those things. But it's sort of just knowing what questions to ask and knowing what fires to put out. Yeah. Yeah. So your clients don't need any fires. There's no fires. Sometimes I put out fires and people don't even know that there was like a natural. No, there was nothing. There wasn't a candle that I handled it. Yeah, you handled it. Picking on other things to talk about on this list. So, negotiation. Negotiation. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot. There is. Realize I did all this. This is crazy. You know what? I feel like a lot of times I'm a big old-fashioned hand delivery girl too. I like to make sure if somebody is, I just met Michael Broke in the Chili's parking lot to hand over a check. I do not
like mailing ducks.
Oh no! So you said this made of chilies.
Well, it turned out that she was on her way somewhere else, so we were able to meet there. But I'm an old-fashioned. I've driven everywhere. I recently drove to Rhode Island to drop off a check. If somebody is trusting me with their hard-earned money, yeah, I want to make sure that it gets into the hands of who it needs to get to.
Yeah, I think that is, and as somebody who handles all of the checks here at Boston Connect Real Estate, I think that is very important. Making sure that we receive the check. If we're the listing agent, we are handing out the checks if we're a buyer's agent or anything like that. So
I don't want my client spending $35 for online. No,
so she will meet you in the Chili's parking lot. Kristen, how can people get in touch with you? I can't believe we're already done.
I know this was the fastest one ever. So call me 617-448-4896. Kristen Howlett at K Howlett at BostonConnect.com. Email, website, Boston Connect, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, you can go to BostonConnect.com and all of our contact information there as well. You can give us a call here at the office 781-826-8000. Sharon and I will be back live Saturday morning at 8 a.m. to continue our discussion about the NAR settlement.
What you think about it?
Yeah. We're going to figure it out.
Right, is it?
No, we're good.
What did you do?
Hold on, we're still live. Sharon wants us to stay live.
Okay.
I look like I I do want us to say like this WATD is still live.
I guess that doesn't matter. But if you shut off if you shut off that now, switch it will shut off again. It's funny because there's such a delay. Because the radio is still just done. If you want it.
Yeah, the radio's still here.
Yeah, that's okay. If you can't, you're not on the website. So it's weird because it's
Am I keeping YouTube on? Am I keeping YouTube on?
Yeah, keep YouTube on. So there should be a place where it's like I saw the drop down earlier, so it would say like you know how like when we're on Zoom, you can choose your audio.
Yeah, there's a microphone at the bottom, and it just gives the option.
It's the option of what?
It only gives the option of mute.
You?
Mute. Mute. Yeah. There's 3 buttons on the side that says you don't have access to this feature. So there's a camera.